how's it going?
Hello, beautiful people.
I'm Miracle Megan, and this is...
Mr. E, live from the River House in Boulder, Colorado.
And we are doing this show at a completely different time and date than usual.
Right.
So yeah, yesterday I was at a metaphysical fair doing readings, and you came and joined and hung out with all of us, and so we were not doing We Don't Know yesterday.
That's right. And today, here we are. And our topic today, we don't know twin flames.
Yeah, we don't know twin flames.
We don't
for
know
sure.
twin flames.
Yeah, and some of you may not even know what that phrase even means. I mean, so we understand that we're kind of a part of a new age metaphysical community to where that is a big buzzword. For us, I bet Greg has heard the term twin flame before as well. But let's start off with, what is the idea or the concept behind it for those who have never heard it? And just so you know, anything that we're sharing is just going to be from sources or from information we found. There's a million different things out there if you Google search twin flames.
And then there's the truth that you and I are exploring together, which is actually rather different than fundamentally than most of the rhetoric, I guess you could even say. There's a lot of sort of copy and pasting about what this is and what people want it to be more than anything.
And Greg could probably, I'm glad Greg is on here. A Course in Miracles would probably call twin flame the special relationship.
Right.
And so yeah, we're just going to dive into that with a really brief show today.
Yeah, and just to catch us up, we are 2 days before the new moon, so we are finishing out our lunar cycle. And if you have been following us and do know what we're about, we work with commitment, innocence, and transparency. And each 28 and a half days or so, when the new moon comes around, the lunar cycle is complete, we make a new commitment, an updated commitment to who we are as partnership and what our connection is. And we also are dedicated to not carrying anything forward, and we're starting anew. So starting anew is a really beautiful place to be. So join with us as we start anew every single lunar cycle. And in the most extraordinary paradoxes, what seems to be short and brief and almost non-committal, like we might understand a marriage or something, that it becomes an opportunity for incredible depth. And that's what we've been exploring for the last 6 or 7 months. If you've been watching our show, episode number 24 now, all of a sudden, twin flame.
Wow.
What is it? And
I know we've referenced it, I know we've referenced it before, but we've never really, I think we've mentioned it in passing, and that hasn't necessarily been maybe the best for somebody who's not familiar with what it even is or what it means out there. And so I think some of the basic concepts, we were kind of looking into it today, is the idea of a twin flame is the idea of somebody where your soul is split, right?
Right. It's
Okay.
your other half.
It's your other half.
Like
yeah.
literally on a subatomic level, the carbon copy, your mission on Earth was to split your soul and then find one another and then join together and come together.
To basically date yourself.
And, yeah, right. But then to share, there's such intense love
Yeah.
that you get to share that with every single person, and that there's only a certain number of twin flames out there. And if you're a part of the twin
Incredibly
flame,
rare.
yeah, it's very rare, and you're a part of a very special breed.
Well, and the truth is, let's get started. First of all, is that it's not that we haven't used that terminology,
Right.
and I'm not even talking about towards each other. I'm talking about, you have a really great poem in The Gift is Listening.
Right.
That is about twin flames, but it kind of describes it in a completely different way, which is what I was really attracted to. And also, you've referred to different people as hey, these great twin flame couples. And so what is that meant for you as far as how you see it now compared to in the past?
Right. So the Gift is Listening is an enlightened relationship guide for men, and has 111 poems or musings in it. And the 111th is called Twin Flame. And so, and 111, Twin Flame, 111. So, when she arrives, reflecting only your highest truth, then the mirror has no more contrast for you. You have met yourself as the one, and now your creative energy flows in service to all. And really what it's saying is, to boil that down, is each one of us is our own twin flame. Each one of us has the opportunity to completely awaken, and in that awakened state, draw someone to us that is very similar to that in terms of their wakefulness, and that you naturally, because of your wakefulness and where you've come on the spiritual journey, you come together and you share that. It has nothing to do with
soul splitting.
Yeah, soul splitting or anything else. And everybody has this opportunity. This isn't an opportunity for just special people.
Yeah, and I first of all, Mary, I definitely will tell my mom Happy Mother's Day. I got to see her yesterday and give her her gift. Yeah, Happy Mother's Day to all the moms and pet moms and
grandmas,
people who take care of plants.
Yeah.
Just anyone. But Happy Mother's Day to everyone. People who have moms. Yeah.
People who don't have moms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I forgot where I was going before that. Oh, one of the things that I really like about your poem is the idea of it doesn't provide a contrast. So for those who aren't really familiar with twin flame, or some of the things that they say are signs of it, is a lot of times that it's tumultuous, is a lot of times that there's a runner-chaser dynamic,
right.
Is that there's intense feelings and emotions, and there might be some like volatility. Basically, A Course in Miracles would call that specialness, and with A Course in Miracles, specialness is a guilty relationship. So it's like something we use through guilt, and I think twin flame can often be used as a torture device because it can be a thing where it ends up being a yearning or a longing, or you've designated or projected someone to have this role of your twin flame partner. And often the way it's depicted online or in various articles or books is that there's like one person who's awake to the connection, right, and knows what it is, and they know it's a twin flame connection. This is like AKA one who is more obsessed, typically. Right, and I've been that person, so I'm not judging.
Creating a narrative so that we literally make it impossible to let go of this person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't let go because now I've decided that and even I had never heard before this morning that there was like the soul split aspect of it. I had not gone into that, even though I was like I had certainly projected on people being my twin flame. It's so funny because sometimes it's the easiest to do that with the person who's like the least interested in that sort of dynamic with you. Right. I don't know if that was your experience of it.
Yeah, no one's coming to save you. There isn't another half of you out there that when you meet them, or you're going to suddenly be complete and your whole life is going to work. No, you become complete when you decide for yourself, regardless of anybody else.
Regardless of any names or titles or
I am whole and complete unto myself. I accept my atonement for my life. And here's the truth about another poem in the Gifters Listen called The Matchmaker. You can only meet someone who's a vibrational match for you anyway. It's impossible for two people to come together and not be a vibrational match on some level, right?
So, even if you say, wow, I'm so, we actually had this conversation the other night. We were talking about, wow, this is what we've always wanted because we've started studying A Course in Miracles before we go to sleep at night, and doing some of those things where it feels so nice to have someone who's that we've met a match as far as dedication to our practice and an enjoyment and love of talking and discussing and doing some of these different things. But I was reminded of a part of A Course in Miracles, and I was like, we've always gotten what we wanted, though. So, right now we can see that we truly have changed our minds and that we do want this now, because we can see it in the reflection, which is also what your poem indicates.
Right.
Like the reflection of it is showing that it's not a contrast.
Right.
When we've actually gotten to that level where we've done enough work on ourselves where the reflection isn't a contrast, which isn't, oh, I have to look at the part of me that really isn't dedicated. I have to look at the part because that's what I've attracted in.
Right. And
so we've always gotten what we've always wanted and I'm not trying to say that anyone ever wanted physical abuse, emotional abuse or neglect or violence in a tangible sense of that term, but we're talking about a lot of times every person played their role perfectly. And if we're honest with ourselves, we'll see that because we had these patterns replicate for multiple partners over a span of years or decades.
Right. And that was a learning process. You know, we're all learning. Let's remember that. This is fundamental, foundational truth of what we stand for is our innocence and our transparency. And what that means is when we're open and out and we're comfortable in our own learning and the learning that other people are going through, then there's no need to chase. There's no need to run. When you're fully with yourself, fully alive in yourself, fully identified with your own spark, you know, your own divine nature, then you recognize that all of life is transitory. Everything is coming and going. It's all we're here in a world of entropy, right? And so what you can do is to cultivate these ideals inside yourself. You know, what is my truth? You know, am I willing to be transparent with life? Am I willing to be transparent with myself? Am I willing to be committed? And can I see myself as innocent? Now, when you really work on those puzzle pieces unto yourself, then because the law of attraction is what it is, it's not something that you can quarantine for your own best interest to get what you want, your ego wants. No, it's actually just going to match you with exactly what is your next person, activity, experience, moment, and moment to moment to moment to moment. And all we're doing is saying we can play intelligently with these attributes and not have to go through a lot of the turmoil that is somewhat, you know, mostly associated with high vibrational relationships.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one other thing to consider, or that we've talked about before, where was I going? It's like I had it right in my head and then it just like floated off into space. I feel like I'm still waking up this morning. I don't know about you guys. Okay, here it is. That 100% responsibility and innocence go hand in hand.
Right.
That we're actually, we want to be in recognition of our own innocence, and innocence doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. Let's get clear about that.
Right.
We're not saying, hey, you can just say something really like hurtful and then it's like, hey, you're innocent. It's like, no, it's about the fact that mistakes are for correction.
Right.
That we're recognizing that mistakes are for correction. And so, you know, even we had a little miscommunication this morning, and part of what we're talking about and what we're wanting to share is how much the lunar cycle and those three components of innocence, transparency, and commitment are so vital because we have a higher purpose than just who wants to be right. We have a higher purpose than just who wants to be right, who wants to be wrong. We're committed to innocence, transparency, and commitment. And so that means if something comes up, we are transparent. We communicate about what's going on, what happened for each of us. We are committed to getting back to resolution, to remembering that we're on the same team. We want the same things.
Right.
A lot of times it's the exact same thing, and there's just been a miscommunication. And then something that could have been like an all day, all week, who knows, taking the next, I mean, because things can blow up when we're letting the ego and the fear be in charge. So what we're trying to share is these very, very simple things that you can do to not let the ego / fear run away with what you're really trying to cultivate, which is love, which is friendliness, expression, creativity. Fear can run away with those things so easily.
And we see it in the way that people address the 8 steps or the 11 steps to twin flame relationship. And even within those steps, there's this big thing and a reunion, and maybe you put your whole life on hold to work on yourself in order to get this done. And what we're saying is it's actually really simple. There's one step.
Yeah.
Love yourself.
And love what's in front of you.
Yeah, right.
Love what is in front of you. You know, if you've designated someone some role of a twin flame and they're gone and they're not in your experience, don't spend all day every day reading articles talking about the reunion you're going to have someday.
Right.
Or, I mean, you can, you're innocent, but that's a mistake to be corrected, because here's the problem. You're going down a rabbit hole, and that rabbit hole is saying, it's okay, they're your deepest reflection of you. This is so that you do your own personal work, but it's so that you'll eventually come back together, because you'll always eventually come back together. And it's giving you these, like, And I'm not saying it won't happen. I mean, if you literally decide to keep this person in your mind for the next 5 years, you know, like, you might bring them back, or you might message them on Facebook. Like, it could happen. But what happened to those years of your life? What happened to those months, to those days? Like, were you actually able to love what was in front of you? And wouldn't that have been a better experience if the outcome was eventually a coming back together? How would you have wanted to spend that time in yearning and longing and separation and fear and anger and frustration? And
if you don't have somebody in your life that you can make really good agreements and keep them with, they're not your twin flame. Forget about it. If there's like ghosting going on, running away, chasing, creating big drama fields, and over sort of identification with the suffering aspect of a roller coaster ride in the relationship, is not your twin flame. What you've met is, you know, someone is time. They're helping you learn to let go of your own addictive relationship needs in terms of, you know, how I relate to someone else to gain my own sense of approval, sense of satisfaction, whatever it is. That's really got to come first. And so everything you've ever experienced in life and relationships is all taking you to one point. And that one point is to accept your divine nature, wake up to who you are, and then play with whatever shows up. If I'm feeding the birds, they're my twin flame. If I have a guest at the river house, they're my twin flame in that moment, because that person is reflecting my consciousness.
yeah,
And so then when you find somebody that has the same, there's attraction, and there's you discover through good transparency and seeing one another's innocence, getting to know one another, all of a sudden a shared purpose, and then you can develop an intimate life around that, then wow, that's really amazing, because then you don't need to do all this other dramatic stuff. You can actually simply get to work on loving one another and expressing that love in a way that benefits other people. And it's very, very simple.
well, and to just realize everything is a projection.
Yeah.
And that's something that definitely, you know, comes up in one section we got of A Course in Miracles through the random number generator today was specialness versus innocence. So basically the guilty relationship versus innocence. But it's saying that basically purpose is, so the purpose of the body is for specialness, right? Because here's how we can be separate. Here's how I can be afraid of you. Your body can hurt mine. Your body can hurt mine by choosing not to call me.
Right.
It doesn't have to be physical. It can be like, whoa, that person didn't call me. That person didn't text me back. Like, that's still everything of the body, right? Those are the fingers that are texting back. And it's saying it wants us to remember that the goal of separation is the curse of the body. Yet your body doesn't really have a goal. My body in and of itself does not have a goal. No, the purpose is of the mind. The purpose is of the mind. Purpose is of the mind. Purpose is of the mind. As a reminder, purpose is of the mind, not the body. And minds can change as they desire. So do I want to, if I've been giving myself the experience of a twin flame as something that's like tumultuous, and I'm like, why, when is this person going to wake up to our divine connection? You know, and you don't have to use the word twin flame. This could be just your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend. Like, here's the thing to recognize: we're projecting. We don't even know if their feelings are that intense. We really don't.
No, and if you're really being transparent and seeing one another's innocence and committed to yourself, you'll be able to see right through that pretty quickly, you know.
Well, and you can look at somebody's, you know, actions, right?
Oh,
like,
my gosh.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, you can try to, we've given it all the purpose that it has, right? So if you're giving something a lot of purpose, that that person liked your post or looked at your story or something, and that means they're still as in love with you as you are with them, yet you haven't heard from them in 6 months, it's like, your mind can change as you desire. So do you desire to equate that with love? Do you desire to equate somebody running from you as being love?
That's self-abuse.
It is. And so we want to change our mind and change the purpose that we've given that to be like, that doesn't mean that they're bad. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. That doesn't mean that they've done anything wrong. That just means you have changed the purpose of what you want love to be and say, oh, in the past I've really been breadcrumbing.
Right.
I've been chasing breadcrumbs, making mountains out of molehills, meaning that like someone doing the bare minimum meant that they were, you know, like texting you happy birthday means something, you know. and
Ooh.
and we're changing, but we're changing it. Like
we're changing it
we're
on the
changing
fly.
the purpose.
Yeah, right.
Our minds can change as we desire, and
Right.
so look at even the word desire. Like, okay, I'm desiring to keep feeding this narrative. I'm desiring to decide that they have these feelings for me that they just can't express, that they're not awake to, they're not aware. It's like, why exert that much energy rather than just love what's showing up?
Well, the answer is because people are afraid to look at themselves.
Yeah.
So I think our invitation is, are you ready to set those games down? And it's all the games. It's not just with your interpersonal, intimate relationship. It's with everybody. It's like lay down the drama, lay down the stories, lay down the expectations, all of it, and get into the now moment. Really empower yourself to be a beautiful, kind, and loving, generous person. And practice these things of transparency, commitment, and innocence with yourself, knowing that as you do, you raise your vibration, you will draw to you, and it might be an existing partner, could be an old partner, could be a friend, could be anybody, someone out of the blue that will mirror what it is that you're really excited to experience. But it's up to you. Whatever you're creating it all. And if right now you're in a situation where somebody has ghosted you or disappeared or feeding you a false narrative or setting up games that you've got to dance through in order to gain their affection, it's time to start letting that go, because that's not an expression of love.
Well, and that's why, you know, as we're coming on here and kind of talking about, to some extent, like dispelling some of the myths around twin flame.
Right.
That's not because we're saying the idea of twin flame is good or bad. It depends on the purpose we've given it. And so that's one of the things that, you know, when A Course in Miracles and the Manual for Teachers talked about reincarnation, it said, who cares? Believe in it or not believe in it. The question is it helping you wake up to the truth or not?
Same with twin flames. Believe it or don't believe it. Is it helping you wake up to the truth or not?
Because if we recognize, instead of the split soul dynamic, you know, what A Course in Miracles is trying to wake us up to and many other spiritual practices and modalities, is the one mind, is that we are actually a lot more connected with everything and all that there is. And so we don't want to just exclude this one person for this. It's like, no, all of our minds are joined. We're calling in the people who are a reflection of like where our mind is at this moment. We're in this divine orchestration, all playing our parts. And do we want to begin to take more responsibility and accountability for our part, especially if we desire to change our minds about things that are not bringing us happiness or peace or the type of love we'd really like to experience?
And a lot of these twin flame runner-chaser dynamic and people out there on the website that claim to be a coach and can bring your twin flame back to you and all that.
Why do you want them back? But that's what we want to work on you with.
Yeah, right.
Why do you want that kind of reflection of your worth and value back? Why?
Right.
And believe me, I've had to ask myself that question too. But that was after wasting time.
Right.
Wasting energy.
This life is self-determining.
Yeah.
You know, it is self-determining. It's aligning with who you are at the very deepest part of yourself. And when you do that, you will automatically draw other people into that sphere. And a holy relationship, like, that's the paradox of it, mm-hmm. is it's already there for you. It's already there. There is no chasing. It's impossible to chase somebody. Happy Mother's Day. Mother's
Day. Madre. I'm glad you saw the comment. Yeah, I told her we were hanging out.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know. I wish I had. My mom forgot the Spiritual AF deck at my place last night.
Oh, she did.
See. But anyway, I wish I would have brought it. That would be a fun card.
So what if everything you thought you believed about connection and relationship and soulmates and twin flames and all of that was completely built on a foundation that was not truth? You know, what if there was a simple truth that you could step into now and begin to really cultivate your own inner awareness and knowing? And the paradox of it is look what happens. Yeah. We really are two people that found each other in the most serendipitous, beautiful of ways and discovered a shared purpose. And wow, what an incredible feeling that is. What an incredible opportunity we have. We'd like to share, yeah. And that's what we want. And we have this shared purpose. Incredible. So you can either project that, spend a lot of energy trying to create it, go through a lot of extra steps to one day get there down the line, or you can accept it for yourself now and really begin working on something that has a much shorter timeline to it.
Well, and how can you tell if everything, or what you've been believing about relationships and connections and purpose and whatever other genders or types of people, how do you know whether you want to stick with that narrative or not? And that answer is simple too.
Yeah, it is.
Is it bringing you love?
Yeah.
Is it fulfilling? Is it bringing you peace? And to recognize that when we're talking about love, we are identifying that with peaceful. Not tumultuous, not ups and downs,
not dramatic,
not super dramatic,
right.
And to know that that's also going to be an adjustment.
Right.
That is an adjustment, because if that's what you've been equating love with, is screaming matches, is fighting, is blaming, is silent treatments, is slamming doors. What if you want to add some examples,
and if you find
in there.
yourself glorifying those kind of things and using these kind of things as evidence that this person is your twin flame, then you really can very quickly back up from that and say, my gosh, my ego has become so slippery, has been so clever, and there's so many narratives out there on the web, there's so many things I could find to bolster my own trial nature, my own lawyer's mind about why this person is. And really all it's doing is covering up what you can discover for yourself, is that you are already complete, whole, and perfect exactly the way you are. And when you really get there, then the universe has no other course but to bring it to you, and it's already done it for you. And if you can look at your whole life as it's already happened to you every minute of the whole way, then you can have fun with that. So I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's so easy how it can get so distorted to where, oh, that person caring about what I'm wearing means that they love me so much. Trying to know where I am every minute of the day because they love me so much.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I think we really wanted to bring light to, is that there's even different aspects of the spiritual community and the spiritual nature about relationships that can lead to really toxic and potentially abusive relationships.
Right.
And so for us personally, we're trying to say that's not what we're wanting to choose for and with each other. That's not what we would want to choose for you. And we know there's a ton of stuff that is online that will justify allowing someone, or even to be chasing someone in your life who is a reflection of your lack of value.
Right.
And so our goal first is to empower the person to say, you have so much value. And we want you to look at every aspect of your life to really ask yourself, is my money a reflection of my value? Is this relationship a reflection of my value? Is this family member and the way that person and I are relating to each other, is that a reflection of my value? And to really begin to take a look at that so we can invite more love, more expansion, more responsibility, and then hopefully more connections into your life that are absolutely a reflection of your value, which is incredible. You have so much value.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you. We've got an empowerment class that we're having extraordinary, great fortune and success with. We're seeing people have incredible awakenings unto themselves. Certainly something we invite you to come into, and we're currently putting together what a course on pristine connections looks like. What does it look like to have this kind of relationship? What are the steps? How do you practice with the moon? And we're coming out with some amazing, very, very simple. This is not complicated. It's not big, some long program you got to sign up for. And we'll be doing all kinds of support here at the River House with retreats and work with couples.
Groups,
But mainly it focuses on empowering you.
Such simple things, and so the empowerment class is there, but then some of the things that are going to be separate around, like actually relating to somebody else or getting prepared for if you're beginning to date, is even when we're coming up on the new moon, what we're asking ourselves is, what is our purpose? Mm-hmm. We talk about the triangular relationship, and so even if you're already in a partnership, okay, let's really establish what the purpose is.
Right.
our purpose is a lot of times spiritual growth. Great. So that means we get into a weird space like we did for a few minutes this morning where we say, okay, should we get to studying? Hey, we take accountability. I think we forgot we were on the same team for a minute there. And that we were actually literally wanting the same thing and feeling the exact same way. It's like, so we get to that through some of the commitment, transparency, and innocence. And so we just want to guide you on how to create the higher purpose for your connection or for the reason you have for dating. Yeah. So that as things come up, as fear trips us up, as the ego trips us up, there's such simple things to not let it get carried away, which it so often and so easily does.
And so just to be clear, if you're a couple or in a partnership that you want some help navigating what's happening, because it's real easy to get lost in this thing, that we're here for you. Or if you're somebody that just wants to love themselves so much that you automatically matchmake with somebody that's a perfect reflection for you, this is a matchmaking opportunity, not because we're doing anything special, but because we're turning you on to the special vibration that you have inside that will automatically do that for you. So nobody can matchmake for you. Nobody's going to come and fix your relationship. We're simply giving you this incredible, simple opportunity to, to be in love.
Yeah. And we're using principles from the moon and the cycles of the moon, and we're using principles from A Course in Miracles on the difference between a innocent versus a guilty relationship, and just utilizing a lot of things that have been individual passions that have helped us to create something that feels, really fulfilling and something that's a different reflection than we've called in the past. And so, yeah, my mom said, what is it for? That's a great question. Yeah, what is it for, and what do I want to come of this? So those are absolutely things that you would actually be asking yourself around this phase of the moon, or like right around the new moon as you're setting intentions for the next lunar cycle. What is this for, and what do I want to come of this? So that's going to be coming up on Tuesday, so hopefully you guys will be writing some new moon intentions. And you can also reach out to us on Messenger if you want to get the Zoom link for your 7 p.m. class on Monday and Thursdays at 7 p.m.
Pick a number between 1 and 3.
3.
So 3, and
now you pick the second part.
Second part, I'm going to go with 9.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at that. Control card came up. Control. How do you read that?
I mean, I might want to look in the book. It's been a while. So control is, with the twin flame thing, that's super interesting because it's like trying to control the narrative. Yeah, that is, you know what? I'm so glad that you got that card, because that's exactly what it does. Is it's like we want to give value and meaning to what we're experiencing instead of just taking 100% responsibility. And so a lot of times when we say, and it doesn't have to be twin flame, it could be I was destined to be with that person. We were supposed to be together forever. That was somebody so-and-so's fault because they intervened, they interfered, or whatever I was trying to say. And so it is a way of controlling the narrative where something didn't go according to your plan for how it should have gone, which is the relationship continuing, that person being invested, whatever it was, and instead we get to create these different stories in our heads that are not based in reality, and our illusions and projections that are like, I know they've got to be feeling the way I'm feeling. So we make up a story that they're tormented just like I am. Yep. They're wanting to reach out just like I am. And what better example of a projection, and what better example of control?
And what a beautiful opportunity for all of us, because it's inescapable, whether it's a drug addiction, a sex addiction, a love addiction, a news addiction, whatever the addiction is, it centers around controlling the narrative, so I don't have to feel the magnificence of who I am and not really look at the dynamic that I'm in a place, and we only would hold that back from us if we have some level of shame. But it is the opportunity of a lifetime. That's what people don't understand. You're on the threshold. If you're trying to control the narrative, if you're lost in some dynamic and whatnot, you are on the threshold of opening up your heart into something new, and that's what we'd like to be here with you to do. So
awesome.
All right.
Well,
I know.
We'll catch you guys later.
Yeah. All right.
Just remember, you're loved, you're loving, and you're lovable. And we'll keep you posted on what time we're looking at next week.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Love to hear from you. Bye now.